Hey guys, this week's video Q&A focuses on nutrient timing as it pertains to muscle building. And so the question is, I am a 20-year-old male hockey player engaging in resistance training 4 days a week. What is the optimal amount of protein to ingest following my strength training sessions to maximize muscular growth? And so the answer to your question in short is it depends. And we're going to go over some things it's dependent on, why there are some misconceptions regarding the anabolic window in strength training, and then leave you with some conclusions or some ideas that we appear to have from the research that's available. And so the purpose of protein ingestion is to enhance the muscle protein synthesis effect of strength training. And so the greater the muscle protein synthesis rate compared to the muscle breakdown rate, which is also known as the protein turnover ratio, the greater hypertrophy or muscle growth that should happen over time. And that comes with a few prerequisites which we'll chat about in the video. And so, again, essentially muscle growth or muscle hypertrophy is net protein or requires net protein accumulation. And so the ingestion of protein and amino acids, the building blocks of protein in themselves, is enough to increase the muscle protein synthesis rate. And when protein ingestion or amino acid ingestion is combined with strength training, it's also been shown to further increase this MPS rate. So it's important to note that lifters or strength training athletes require greater than the average amount of protein because of the damage or breakdown that's incurred in the muscle from strength training, but also the subsequent remodeling and recovery required to build muscle following this breakdown or damage. And so there have been a couple of really great reviews of article tackling this very topic and also the relevance of having a protein shake around your workout or protein supplementation around your workout. And Aragon and Schoenfeld, one of their main conclusions was that being in a fasted versus a fed state affects your muscle protein synthesis response of protein supplementation. And so they found from the research that when participants were in a fed state before the exercise started or the training started, that protein supplementation didn't appear to matter as much. There wasn't as great of a muscle protein synthesis increase. And so to get to the numbers a little bit here, and then we'll go over some research that will show you why there's still some discrepancy and maybe some questions that need to be answered, is Stark and colleagues in 2012 in their review of the literature, they deciphered that 1.2 to 2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight was recommended per day for athletes that are trying to build muscle through strength training, and also that 44 to 50 calories per kilogram of body weight was also advisable to stay in the optimal energy intake versus output balance or state. And Aragon and Schoenfeld, as it pertains to post-workout supplementation, noted that 0.4 to 0.5 grams per kilogram of body weight, or what would usually equate to 20 to 40 grams of protein, appeared to be the optimal amount of protein to ingest if one were to ingest protein following workout to increase this MPS rate. And within that recommendation, they also noted that 3+ grams of leucine should be included. So leucine is an essential amino acid known to be have the greatest effect on mTOR protein signaling activation, which is important for muscle growth and muscle hypertrophy. And so here we'll go through a few of these studies. And so Moore and colleagues in 2005 set out to figure out what is the optimal amount. So if we're going to have a strength training session and follow it up with a protein supplement, what would be the optimal amount to have? And what they found in 6 recreational lifters lifting once per week that were randomly assigned to different groups, that 20 grams of protein following a workout was when the muscle protein synthesis rate seemed to plateau. And so the difference between ingesting 20 grams of protein or 40 grams of protein after a strength training session was negligible. But at 20 grams, they had a 93% greater MPS increase or muscle protein synthesis rate increase than those who didn't ingest any protein at all. An obvious limitation to this research study is that the sample size was small at 6 participants, and the training frequency was only 1 time per week. So Anderson and colleagues in 2005 try to determine the difference on muscle protein or muscle hypertrophy in 22 healthy participants between a group that ingested 25 grams of protein versus 25 grams of carbohydrate following a workout. And they found that the protein supplementation group showed significantly greater muscle hypertrophy benefit than the carbohydrate supplement group. And so a restriction of this, as Aragon and Schoenfeld noted, and as we chatted about earlier, the participants were restricted from eating for 2 hours before and 2 hours after training. And so this kind of changed from habitual nutrition practice into, not necessarily a fasted state, but the fact that they hadn't eaten, they maybe didn't necessarily have high levels of amino acids in their plasma at the time of supplementation. This could have had an effect, a positive effect on muscle protein synthesis rate that may not necessarily happen had the athletes been fed or been eating on a normal nutritional schedule. So Hoffman and colleagues in 2009 looked at the difference between having the same supplementation protocol or amount of supplement either in the morning and the evening versus immediately pre and post workout. And so participants either had 42 grams of protein and 2 grams of carbohydrate both when they woke up in the morning and before they went to bed at night, or immediately before and after their workout. And they compared these two groups to a control group as well who did the same strength training routine, but they didn't have any protein supplementation to coordinate with it. And so in 33 NCAA football players, they noted that there was no body composition differences within the groups or between the three groups. And when they dug a bit deeper and looked at the dietary nutrition logs, they noted that the mean energy intake of the athletes or the participants used was 29 kilocalories per kilogram of body weight, which is well below the recommendation that Aragon and Schoenfeld made in their review of 44 to 50 calories per kilogram of body weight. And so this further, we always talk about, eating the proper amount or eating enough to facilitate muscle development, muscle growth, and which a lot of times in the eyes of the young athletes is just weight gain. And so this further magnifies the importance of eating, just being in a state of energy balance or a hypercaloric state even. And so Cribb and Hayes combined, had a similar schedule in terms of supplementation using the morning and the bedtime supplementation versus the immediate pre and immediate post supplementation. This time they used a prefabricated supplement, and they used 1 gram per kilogram of body weight. And so for an 80 kilogram participant, that equaled 32 grams of protein, 34 grams of carbohydrate, and 5.6 grams of creatine. And so there were obviously other substrates added to the protein this time. And over a 10-week block, they found in these amateur bodybuilders, so experienced lifters, that the pre and post supplementation protocol had a significantly greater effect on lean body mass and muscle size. And so the one limitation of this study is that creatine is involved. And obviously when you involve creatine, which is important for muscle recovery, but also for the work capacity of the muscle during the strength training session, it's tough to decipher whether or not it was a combination of protein and carbohydrate or protein itself or the creatine itself that created this increase in lean body mass and muscle size difference. Not only that they saw a difference, but also there was a difference between the two intervention groups. So it'd be interesting to see a study like this with similar macronutrient amounts without the creatine supplement. And so what we can draw from the research is this: there's still a lot needed. And I think that combining complementary nutrients like carbohydrate in a substantial amount, so similar to what Cribb and Hayes did, but also at the recommended level of protein intake, I think this would be very beneficial because carbohydrate has been shown to have a positive effect on the protein turnover ratio, and also have participants in their habitual nutritional state doing this type of or entering this type of an intervention. And in conclusion, going back to Aragon and Schoenfeld's conclusion from their review of the literature, it appears as though 20 to 40 grams or 0.4 to 0.5 grams per kilogram of body weight is what's suggested in the research as the optimal amount for a protein in a post-workout shake, and included in that would be 3 grams of leucine. So I hope this answers your question. I hope you learned something. We'll see you next time.